Oh my goodness! I got the shorty to go and forgot to start the theme song. Should I start the theme song?
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna start this theme song today. It's gonna be really. This is the best show on the internet as of now. See, because you got to see me find it in my folders here. You got to watch me tick along with the thing, and go to the Mattriarchy folder, and go ahead and.
I feel like we should have the Jeopardy theme song playing.
How Mouse ruined comics.
Okay.
All right, 30 seconds. Your 30 seconds are up. No more boomer music.
Stop right there, criminal scum.
Never gets old.
Oh, I love it so much.
I appreciate that opening bit about Mouse though more with current events. Really makes me smile.
Yeah,
now.
we're not gonna get a chance to have like a giant mouse tangent.
Not tonight.
Not today.
But it is coming.
In 3 weeks, we're going to do a deep dive on Mouse for people that want to show up. So next week, we're having Specs on to talk about Legacy the View and killing characters in comics. And I'm not sure who else is coming on for that one yet because I haven't set up the secondary guests. And then the week after that, we're doing Doug Tenaples. We're having the former Gene Luen Yang group. There's now the Doug Tenaple group. And we're going to be tearing apart Earthboy Jakubus. Very excited for that one. And then last weekend in February, we're talking about Mouse, and
we will definitively answer how Mouse ruined comics.
Yes. We'll discuss.
Intrigued for that because I'd never even heard of Mouse until your little intro.
Oh, really?
Wow.
That's wild because it feels like it's the comic that like nerdy professors. That's like the one comic they've ever read and know about, right?
See, but you have to think I live in Texas,
right?
Well, that's part of the issue. Is your T-State brother, Tennessee, has been in the news because they decided that it didn't belong in their school district. Not like it didn't.
But I thought it was they decided not to make it. They told the teacher she couldn't use it in her classroom and asked her to substitute it for another. Yeah.
Well, they actually backtracked even further. They said, okay, well, let's just censor the book.
Yeah.
Let's hide the no words.
That was part of it. Yeah, there was a discussion of and covering. There's a picture of a naked lady. I didn't have any naked lady picture books when I was at this school.
But Greek statues are perfectly fine to show up in textbooks.
Yeah, well, I mean, part of it is the thing is it was for the whole school district. It wasn't just like for the high school, the middle school, or the elementary school. They're just like, this is the decision we're making across the spectrum. And somebody was just like, I have an 8th grader. I don't think it's appropriate for my 8th grader. And I can agree. I don't think Mouse is appropriate for children. And I know that's like there's some people in the comics sphere. They're like, no, it's great to show your kids Mouse. No, it's not. It's really not because. For various. I don't want to talk about Mouse tonight.
Well, here's
I was gonna say.
Do you think Vestry is good for children?
Oh God, no.
Vestry is absolutely wonderful for children.
Vestry is amazing, but not for little kids. So
I mean, it depends. Like I was listening to the Red Letter Media review about Total Recall, and Mike Stolskalsa was recounting that he went to watch Total Recall with his dad when he was 12. Just all depends on how you roll.
I love how this is the stream that we don't talk about Mouse, and we've talked about Mouse for at least 5 minutes already.
I was trying to change it to one of the actual subjects.
Thank you, Metal.
I'm sorry, you were saying, Shabby?
I'll say this: things that are 18 plus are like the coolest for like 12-year-old.
Yeah, you can't. And part of the thing is,
hear me well?
Yeah. Things are 18 plus are the coolest for 12-year-olds, and I would agree, especially if you're 12. But part of the whole the thing with the school, and this is the last thing I want to say on the subject. I want to move past it. is that first of all, it's a mistake to think that your school is the end-all be-all for your education, right? So if you as a parent think that mouse is appropriate for your kids, well, buy them the book, for crying out loud. But like, it's the school where the whole point of school is to pander to the lowest common denominator. So that's the ticket. And second of all, like, I don't think that like school counts as censorship, because it's just the school. It's not like, you know, we're not allowing mouse in the state or even in the town or in the local library over with the other adult graphic novels. No, it's
So I have one further
school
point.
library.
I have one further point to add to that, and then we can totally leave this point.
Okay.
But when we talk about censorship, libraries already censor material. So the definition of censorship isn't a yes or no; it's where you draw a line. Because if you go to my wife worked at a public library, and there's tons of censorship all over the public library. You're not allowed to go to a public library and just watch porn, for example. And so libraries, even public ones, make tons of decisions based on what they think is allowed. Really, again, the decision is where you draw that line.
Yeah. So, no dancing or mouse in this town.
Footloose.
I mean, that sounds like a Saturday Night Live skit.
That does. It really does. It really does.
Okay, so back
anyway.
to Comics Creators Club.
Back to Comics Creators Club, because none of us made mouse.
Yeah, so people who haven't been reviewed in every single pretentious New York Times and New Yorker magazine that there is.
We're here today to talk about two works, and that is Vestry number 3, drawn by our esteemed Czech, right?
Shabby's Czech, yeah.
Hello.
Czech. Okay, I heard you. There's the intercontinental lag, I think.
I'm checking it.
Second. Yeah. The other thing is that, like, I got to admit that I second guess myself, because I grew up when Czechoslovakia existed, right? And I know it's not all the same there anymore.
Yeah.
But I was out of school when it all changed, and I haven't gone back and studied the map. And I don't want to, like, say,
Right.
I know the Czech
Basically,
Republic.
what
It's like,
happened
no.
is we got rid of the dead weight, you know.
Oof.
We have a Czech festival where I live every year. They make punch ski for Fat Tuesday.
So it's coming up then.
Is it Czech history?
I will say about the artist being Czech, that makes me appreciate the actual architectural drawings in Vestry.
Yeah.
Because you can see the Czech and Austrian influences in the architecture.
So it's something about the architecture stood out to me, but I didn't know that was the source material. So I saw it without knowing what it was. Yeah.
Okay, so
I should have talking about Vestry.
Yeah, so I should have prepared you for this, and I will do this this time, because this is an iterative process. But as part of our Comics Creators Club, we've learned we've been building sessions, and one of the voice acting, so we'll be doing a little bit of that in just a moment. Another thing that we do.
Microphone is so terrible. Like,
give me a minute.
Like, I don't want to be that guy, but my goodness, what happened with Florida's internet?
I don't know.
I'm in Florida. My internet is fine.
Yeah. Oh, I see.
An alligator ate his lines. That's what happened.
Yeah. There's some sort of gator that's just like doing acrobatics outside of Twitless's house. It's climbed up the side of the building and it's flipping around the phone line.
Give me a minute.
I can see this in my mind. Yeah. It's amazing.
But I did like your pun, Twitless. I appreciate it.
To check it out.
Yeah.
All right. Hold on.
I didn't pick up on that.
All right. I've closed like everything I can to try to maximize bandwidth. How does it sound?
Oh, that's not better.
Too.
I mean, are you trying out for the new Ultron?
I'll try reconnecting.
Okay.
Robots in disguise.
I gotta say, like, he was a little bad last week too, but I didn't want to make a big deal of it. But it's just, you know.
Well, last week, because I was watching a little bit, it was still interpretable.
Well, you know, when it's unhearable, then you have to kind of mention it.
You gotta say something. You got to.
So,
mk3, check it out.
Shabby, was I correct in that you extrapolated some architectural and furniture things from actual, you know, classical antiques and historical structures in your home
I'd
country?
say, like, it definitely wasn't that much deliberate as much of just looking up reference that was more European based. But yeah, like the idea of what a medieval village is very much like a, you know, medieval Europe to me.
Yeah.
So that's probably mostly. Yeah.
And a lot of what most people think who don't see a clearly British medieval Europe, they're seeing Central European, German. You know, Prague is, you know, one of the crown jewels of Europe for a reason.
I had a question.
I think it may be too modern for West reader, but yeah, something about that.
So I had a question respecting the character designs and whether this was discussion between you and the writer. I got a strong sense that one or both of you had read Kentaro Miura's Berserk, due to little details like, you know, we've got the giant sword for the big guy. Damon's wife kind of reminds me of Casca in that she's kind of maybe a bit more of an elegant, dark-skinned, you know, tomboy sword fighter. So is that like a comic reference point for you as an artist, or did you discuss that with the writer at all?
So definitely the big sword is, I think it's based in Berserk, but, you know, Berserk inspired like so much other stuff. So big swords always awesome, right? So we definitely had to use one of those. The significant or having a darker skin, that's a happy coincidence, but I'm happy to take it actually. But yeah, that's fun. I never thought of it like that. That's cool.
I mean, when I made the connection, I thought, oh, it's like Guts is finally going to get to be happy with his waifu in this universe.
See, I'm not familiar with Berserk at all, so I didn't pick up any of them.
Oh, you need to read Berserk.
Yeah,
I know.
That is like one of the quintessential reads.
Brian Ball keeps telling me this, and I'm.
It's a good manga.
Not wrong, but that doesn't change.
It'll break a part of you on the inside, but it is a necessary read.
Well, so the inside of me is so broken, though. Do I want to risk it?
Oh, it'll find something.
I've reviewed volumes 1 and 2. If you want my tangent-filled, spoiler-filled stream of consciousness videos.
Well, are those still up? Because I know there was all this.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to. I should probably take them down soon with all of the craziness on YouTube. They're up for a little bit longer.
Are you gonna like go over to Rumble with that stuff or?
Right now I'm on BitChute and Odyssey to back up. For those who don't know, like Japan is going absolutely nuts. Getting anybody who uses manga or anime in any capacity whatsoever.
Well, it's like 5 specific studios, so that's why not everything's getting hit, but they're also like 5 of the biggest studios.
Okay. And also they're losing in YouTube's copyright claim system.
Yeah, right. But I think someone just broke a story that one studio has found a workaround where if they sue you in Japan, they can prove to YouTube, see, we've taken court action, and you basically have no recourse outside of hiring a Japanese lawyer, right?
Yeah, and their copyright system doesn't work the same way that ours does. So, like, you can make fan works, no problem, but to actually use the official work in any way, that's when you start running into problems.
See, and here's the thing.
You can also make money off of fan works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, world. This is why it was a mistake to give you guys the internet, right? I don't mean access. I mean control. Like, up until Barack Obama, the second year of his second term, like, America ran the internet. We invented it. We made the rules. We designed all the structures. We built the initial infrastructure, told you guys how to make it work. We've ran it. And then Barack Obama, in his great magnanimity, gave it over to the international community, and instantly you're screwing it up because you don't believe in free speech. You don't believe in the rights of the individual. You don't believe in any of that stuff. So yeah, all of the little Chinese pirates and the European. Sorry, Shabby, but the tyrants that run the EU, they just run roughshod over the concept of freedom, and that's why you guys can't have nice things.
Okay, so back to Comics Creators Club.
We'll just make our own internet with blackjack.
Let's go back to comics. Yeah.
Okay, so am I a little better now?
You are.
I did a
just
hard
a little.
reboot. I did a hard reboot. So I'll try to keep some speaking to a minimum, say bandwidth. Well, one thing, a couple of traditions we have for CCC is we do some voice acting for the comics, which is pretty cool. And another thing we do is that we take the two creators and we get them to do a pitch for the other person's book. So today that means that Larry would be pitching Vestry, and it would mean that you doing a quick little elevator pitch for the Wild Tales of Kyrie story we read for today.
Oh, that's fun.
It's a way to kind of pitch someone else's work, and it went really well last time we did it. So, Larry, I know I'm putting you on the spot, but would you mind to Vestry here in a minute? Would you mind pitching Vestry number 3?
Absolutely. Vestry number 3 is the third in a trilogy of stories featuring a strong archetypical warrior protagonist and being brought into the machinations of, your typical fantasy royalty, wizards, that sort of thing. And there's a monster to fight. It's just cool. Lots of cool action, cool swords. It's fun.
All right.
Sorry. There's some goofiness going on in the chat that I approve of.
I also like how Damon is a mega hyper, big boy. I don't know. He's like one of those farm hands, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's supposed to be like 7 feet tall. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
he's a big boy. All right. Well,
I've got one of the great things about him in the whole story that I just love is that he's got this Conan energy, right? But the world that he lives in is not like this antediluvian or post-diluvian antediluvian like wasteland. It seems like everybody, most of the people in the world, think that they're living in this a little more refined, a little further along, a little more enlightened time, and underneath it there's all of these monsters that are just gonna friggin' kill you.
Yeah, so it's kind of got like a Beowulf energy to that.
Yeah.
Right, Dave in chat has got an excellent pitch. He says Vestry has a barbarian-looking dude with a big sword, a purple glowing naked chick, and space laser.
Get it?
I mean, yeah. This is just fun. This is you don't need to have a pitch that's goes deep into the story. This is about a man who's trying to get, a resolution of the vengeance of the death of his wife, blah, blah, blah. No. Big guy with a sword plows through people who want to hurt him, hurt his friends and family, kills a monster, pew pew. It's fun.
All right. Well,
Don't overthink it.
I've got the screen to share, and then we can jump into and do a little bit of voice acting. I'm actually not, unless my voice quality is okay, I won't do the voice acting. It's more of my
Lucky
robot
for you,
voice.
we don't do that much dialogue.
All right.
I think Shabby should voice Damon because it's basically him.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, he big Central European guy voicing the big Central European character.
I agree with
It
this.
does seem appropriate.
All right. So who's gonna voice?
Role.
Who's gonna voice Medea?
Oh man.
The old fart, right?
Yeah, I guess I'll have to.
All right,
If
so
it comes to that.
normally we voice act the first few pages just to give our readers a taste. So we need a narrator. We need our evil overlord character.
I will narrate.
All right,
I'll take Alamander.
got it. So that's the minion. We still need the evil overlord.
I think that I should do the evil overlord.
All right.
Yes. But I don't know that I have that many lines, so.
You get a couple.
It's been a week, Alamander. Where is my shard?
No, okay, wait.
Kill-
Okay, that's the same guy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, kill him.
Jamin! He's a rock-brained brute who helped clear the castle.
And why has he not been dealt with?
He's a highly skilled fighter, perhaps the best of the human race. My men will require assistance.
Very well, Alamander. I know just the way to assist you. You see, the Abyss reached out to me.
Huh?
Molded
Perfect.
me.
Gah!
Gave me purpose. They made me stronger. Made me something new.
You got one more
Now
line.
give me that shard.
Clang, 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 clang. Clang.
Right, last page. Can we
If I
start
was
meeting
the
it?
got this.
warlord, should
You want me
I
to hit
also
it?
be the wife?
Yeah.
Okay. You never actually told me how your axe broke. Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that was terrible.
Okay.
I'm assuming that was embarrassing for you. You mentioned the ghost girl.
I do like the subtext in his lines up to this point. All high
Yeah.
quality.
I hadn't picked up on how much he wasn't actually responding to her questions until when I read it for the first time. Yeah, you said she goes inside of you, which sounds just weird.
Who's doing Ghost Waifu?
No, I guess I could play her. Well, when you put it like that,
And she can make you stronger,
you could just let me talk to her, you know.
I guess. You can use her on your bounties?
I can handle people on my own.
Not like I'd help you with that.
Baka.
Okay. Shabby, that your voice acting is perfect for that character.
We call that a golden radio voice.
yeah.
I'll go ahead.
Well, I would
I think
would hope,
you guys
right?
did
He's
great,
been
too.
inside of your head for
Or-
years. Yeah,
It's funny to
that was-
see how other people have voices for the other characters, you know. But yeah, that's
I
awesome.
really liked how Damon was the character I connected with most, because I even like how the bad guys think of him as like a rock-brained idiot, and he really is like a man of few words. Like he says, "Go fuck yourself" a lot, right? So he works in that element that I just kind of like instantly attach myself to him as like, yeah, big strong guy. I get it.
Well,
He's
and the
a
thing about it is,
pragmatic problem solver. That's kind of what I would describe him.
right. Well, the thing about it though is he's not stupid, right?
Mm.
He doesn't waste any time in unnecessary things. And that's one thing I really appreciated about the ashcan that came with this one. Was how like it's always to the heart of the problem. I mean, he's able to, that's the thing is he's able to suss out the heart of the problem, and he's incisive with his actions. And that's not the actions of a brute, like a mindless brute. But he also knows that violent force is the right answer for the problems that he faces.
Yeah, so it really puts him with like Conan and Beowulf, because people like to paint them like they're mindless brutes, but they're the same type of character where it's like they're very decisive and intentful about what they're doing.
Damon goes to the library, which is a very, I think, important detail to mention. He's not a mindless brute. He goes for the books when he needs them. And
I mean, if you think about it, books were actually one of the primary things Vikings stole when they were going off of Viking, because books had value.
Good point. And also, you think about the Eddas. One of the they were a little later than the actual Viking era, but the Norse placed a very heavy weight, both the Finns and the Swedes and the Norwegians on the written word.
All right, let's. I'd like to go down the panel here and talk about what we love about history. Or what did
Oh man,
what's the most memorable?
Let me ask if I heard you right, because there was like every third syllable was not there. So, you want to go down the panel and talk about what we each liked about Vestry.
Yes.
Excellent. I speak Twitless.
You starting this, Matt?
Oh, I guess I can. I like. Man, what? I love how you've been able to craft an organic, lived-in universe that doesn't. It's not like other fantasy realms, but it also doesn't take. It doesn't take long to get up to speed. So it's not like, it's its own. It's got its own flavor, but it's not like you have to go through and read like huge volumes of backstory to understand the stuff that's going on.
I really liked the angle that Damon and wife or girlfriend, I couldn't pick up which, but they seem to have a very pragmatic view. Like, yeah, we kill people. They attacked us. We had to kill them, right? It's that simple. And the elf presence is completely unfamiliar. She's older than them, but she's unfamiliar with this, and she's not as comfortable with killing. So that implies to me like something interesting is going on with that. And I even like the idea of like the power being able to switch between people. So if Damon ever loses the power, he's still a strong warrior, but his wife can pick up the power for a while. So there's some neat setup here for action adventure stories. And I also kind of like the angle of it's not a will they, won't they, like Han and Princess Leia situation. They're already together. So it's more like, I don't know, like the most badass honeymoon ever.
Oh, that's lovely.
So we're going to skip you, Shabby. Metal, you're up.
There's a lot of things I liked about this, but I think specifically in this one, I thought the most memorable part was probably like the internal mechanics of the world, because I'm used to reading Vestry at this point, and I like how the plot mechanics and how things work in the world are evolving over time. Like, it's cool how like the purple elf girl can actually go between people depending on who has the artifact at the time and stuff like that. Like, that really stood out to me in this one.
Oh, here we go to comment off of Marm's post. Will they, won't they? They already have.
Exactly.
So I did like, one thing I liked about this page specifically is there was this like subtle, it's not quite jealousy, that Morena, I think I'm probably saying her name wrong, but there's this, it's not quite jealousy, but it's also like there is a she wants to make it very clear that she has a stake in Damon. So, but Larry.
Okay, so who was it who famously said every comic book is somebody's first comic book?
Stan Lee.
So this was my first exposure to Vestry. And what I like about this comic book is it does just enough to make me say, no, maybe I should pick up those other two.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
So this was also my first, and I was just without knowing how he got the jewel, I instantly got, okay, he got the jewel. The bad guys want to get it back. He doesn't want to give it back to them because it's his, right? So it's not so dense. Like I didn't need like 2 paragraphs to get caught up on the intricate plot. Dialogue very naturally brought me into the world to make this feel like the start of its own little story. So well done.
Woohoo. So I'll take the hat tip for that, but that's definitely on Pickles. Yeah. He's a good one, that boy.
Well, that's one of the things is also really fun. I mean, because like the original idea for the series was yours, right, Shabby?
That is correct, yeah.
Yeah.
So I wrote like first issue, and then Pickles came on, but he did the dialogue, so yeah.
Right, and
I remember
a bit of a
issue
challenge
0.
for him.
And it's really neat how you guys have found
Oh,
a
boy.
synergy with working with the story. That is just, I think, really, I think the product you're getting together is better than either of you would have gotten separately. And I don't mean that as any kind of dig or anything. It's just you guys have got a really good energy together.
No, 100%. I know I'm not a writer, so it's just fun for me to see that when I throw Pickles to some ideas, he kind of stitches them together and makes it a cool little story.
Twitless, what about you, man?
All right.
We'll try it out. What do you like?
Yeah. I don't know what's going on with my internet today. So I like Tree. I think I can probably boil it down to 3 points. I like the premise of it. There's a lot to explore with the fact that the elf chick can't really seem like in the world, but when she goes inside Damon, like he gets more powerful, so there's some really cool teamwork dynamics. So just the premise behind the story is cool. It's like, you don't get that sort of synergy and symbiosis, I guess, with characters. It reminds me of Firestorm a little bit from comics.
Yeah. I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, that's a good comparison.
So really cool premise, and I like the brutal action. It's definitely like something that I have a taste for, maybe be in the mood for at times. But when you want some brutal berserk style violence, there's some really cool fight scene moments here that get pretty brutal. The book does not pull its punches. I thought Alamander might survive, but no, they just kill him. So this world is not pulling punches. And then the third thing is something that you guys brought up at the beginning, which is a very particular European aesthetic. I think sometimes we over here in America, we have castles and we just kind of default to a particular either French or Anglo architecture style for the aesthetics. And so you've definitely got, I'm not saying it reminds me a little bit like The Witcher, I guess, in the aesthetics, which is Eastern European a little bit.
That would make sense. Like, neighboring with Poles, so yeah, definitely makes sense.
Yeah. And it's really cool when you can start to see like the fact that fantasy is not just one style for the aesthetic. There's an Eastern European fantasy style, and there's a Western one, And so like appreciate the beauty of those differences is another benefit this book brings to the table. So thank you.
And the monster creature was more of an Eastern European sort of folkloric monster in its design.
Yeah, that was fun. So I just tried to make it an amalgamation of subtle backstory notes and hints for both the main bad guy and the guy who actually got transformed. So, in the earlier books, you can see him, like, for example, riding on a stag. So I gave him like those big horns and etc. So I had a really fun design in that monster.
Cool.
So I have a question for Shabby, actually.
Go for it.
2. The first one is so one of the things that really drew me in on the first book, on the actual like print copy, was like right here you have the map of the world, right? And that always pulls me into something like a fantasy world has its own map. But I noticed in this one, at least in the preview version that we got, there is no map at the beginning where you could have like zoomed in where the story was taking place or whatever. And I thought that was I don't know if you were really trying to keep your page count tight or not, but I thought that was kind of almost like a weakness, something you could have added in. The second one is, where are all the stairs?
Okay. There, what?
Where are all the stairs?
Stairs. You know, page 1 has some. Come on, man. I can do good.
It is a different setting. Most of the stuff happens in their one level, little hut. Not a hut. It's
And I have high expectations when it comes to stairs.
after issue 2, there were lots of stairs in issue 2.
Not as much as the original version of the first issue.
Well,
so I'll tell you this, right?
Stair heaven.
Yeah. This is a little bit of a thing in the future, but we get the map because of Arc 1 of Vestry, right? So there's going to be 6 issues, and we're doing it because he travels a lot, so he kind of pings and zips back and forth. So me doing zoom in on that, yeah, I could do that, but it wouldn't show up in the trade anyway. But there's going to be, hopefully, if we'll get to second arc, it's going to happening somewhere else on the map, so that will get its own map, etc. Yeah. So
I love maps.
Hopefully we'll get to arc 2 back Vestry for everyone.
it looks like we lost Twitless again. I'm not sure if he's trying to restart his computer or if he was trapped by some sort of scorpion.
I don't know if he's in the part of the state that's dominated by Comcast internet.
Yeah, I don't know.
But Comcast internet in Florida tends to be sketchy.
Yeah, well,
I think he's just trying whatever he can. He probably feels bad since, C Cubed was kind of his idea.
Yeah.
That's true. Last month I called it Twitless's Comics Creators Club, but I didn't have the letters this time. So I can hear that. The musical version of that in my head there, Evie. Which might mean that I listen to a lot of boomer music. We're not gonna, confirm or
Twitless come
deny
back. You can blame it all on Matt.
Yes, but he's not back yet. So, but yeah. I didn't have any other comments to make on Vestry. Did anybody else before we switch books? Actually, somebody fill the space because I did not load up the digital version. Oh, here, Twitless is back.
Yeah.
Hey, Twitless.
Are you back, Twitless?
I just always enjoy the action in this book. Like he draws it so well, especially like the hashy lines display the motion very well.
Well, I have a question though, because you guys are one of the few who actually got the Ashcan. Because we issue 3 sold really small numbers, and so you guys read it, and I'm really wondering because issue 3 is actually my favorite, so I'm wondering on that one, what you think of that.
On the Ashcan specifically?
Yeah, that one.
Okay, I had I liked the ending, and I had one specific challenge with it. I had a hard time interpreting Damon. I wasn't sure if the Scorpion guy was like had he done it to himself, and so when Damon said, kind of like left him there to die, was that Damon's like way of punishing him for killing his family, or was the Scorpion guy like cursed and completely unaware he was killing people? Because it would affect Damon's character a lot, right? Like if you kill a bunch of people because you were cursed and you didn't have any, and you had no clue what you were doing, that would be kind of horrifying, and it would suggest that Damon's like a really like rough, judgmental guy. Yeah, like I don't care if you were a wizard or whatever, you still killed people, right? So I'm gonna leave you to die.
Yeah.
So that part challenged me, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's exactly the way you said it. So then with the transformation, the guy didn't know he was the the murderer. He didn't know he was the monster. So Damon left him out to die just because he kind of despises monsters as is. And once you can have the transformation, that was done for him, right? No sympathy there. But there was just really one small line that implied there are no bodies left, right, in the temple.
Yeah.
And that was supposed to imply 2 things, right? Either he ate them, or second, he transformed them to like, the same creatures.
So, I got you. So I picked that up.
So that's kind of like left ambiguous.
Yeah. So that part really hit me. So I had like a criticism of it. So the ending had a real good horror story whammy for me, which just left me creeped out. And I really liked the design of the monster. Like I instantly got the scorpion vibe. I instantly got like the cursed man vibe out of it. So in terms of the horror element and the fighting element, it was a very fun issue in that respect.
Well, and like part of my take on it, like I didn't get a feeling for whether Damon knew ahead of time the situation, but the when he said, he's like, "Are you gonna kill me?" and Damon said, "I already have," right? And he basically is just gonna let him. Somebody's got to. Larry, I think I'm going to mute you for a second. I'm getting some background noise from you. Okay, sorry, man. But where he's got this, I was saying is like, I don't know. I didn't get the impression that Damon knew going in that the guy was the monster. Spoiler alert, by the way. But I got the impression that like it didn't matter to Damon at all, right? That it was a situation that like that's just the situation what it called for, right? If he got hired to stop the monster, he's going to stop the monster, and it felt like it was both the necessary thing and the merciful thing, right? Because the guy's he's lost everything and he's a monster and he can't do anything about it and doesn't know anything about it, so death is actually merciful, but that didn't factor into Damon's calculation at all, is the feeling I got from it. That it was like that's just the way it has to be, so that's the way it is.
That's so cool that you interpret it like that. That's awesome. I'm very giddy. It's just like.
So speaking of that ending, I've got a screen share pulled up because this is a horror ending. This guy's just dismembered. So the monster is dismembered, and then when he transforms back, it's not like that sort of video game where it's like, oh, all of his limbs are in place. It's like, no, that transfers. So when he cuts the monster's arms off, this guy's arms are also cut off. And so when he transforms back, he transforms into a deadly, stumpy mess.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, like body horror aspect.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the one thing, I don't think it'll take you an hour to die from having your arms cut off. I think it's a lot less than that. But
it's a fantasy setting. They live a little longer.
There you go.
So one thing I liked about this whole sequence that I think really tells you a lot about Damon's character is when the presence of the monster is kind of first known, like it's trying to sneak up on him. He seems almost kind of like upset that the monster didn't try to attack him right away when his back was turned, and now he has to actually turn down and go follow it. And that just kind of like spoke a lot about his character. It's like, this is going to take longer than I thought.
Yeah. So cool. That is my take on that one. So
well, that's my ego lifted. Let's head over to Kiri. Awesome. Thank you guys.
All right.
Shabby,
Thanks for a fun comic.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Shabby, I really love a panel a question. That's partly why we do these Comics Creators Club meetings. Do you have any other questions for us as a panel, things you wondered if we noticed, or elements or themes that you picked up on? Because it's an opportunity for the creator to say, I put this in the comic, did you know?
Yeah. So issue 3 had actually a cameo of some creators that are pretty well known in this little community. I don't know if you noticed.
Okay, is it the Sashi sign?
yeah,
No. It's actually the guards who come in to arrest Damon.
All right, let me pull that up. Let me pull that page
Yeah.
up. That's cool. All right.
My problem is I may not know what the creator's reference looked like,
Oh,
so I
yeah.
wouldn't have noticed, right? Like, Sometimes you actually have to know the face of the person.
Yeah, that's the problem with, because I really want to put more references in. It's just hard because everyone has so colorful, futuristic characters, and I don't have like posters to put them on, right?
Yeah.
So it comes in a bit of a challenge to do references, etc.
Okay.
Let's see. Do I recognize any of these people?
Yeah.
Right. Is it like is it this panel here where you get to
Hang
see
on
everybody?
No. So the second group actually. So I'm kind of a nerd, right? So in this picture, the bottom two, that's famous strongman I follow. So that's just for me, kind of a, a thing. But in the
I know
second
you
group,
love the
it's actually
strongman
creators.
competitions.
Yeah. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna sneak them in. That's fun.
Oh, cool.
Because in my perverse kind of notion, I was like, yeah. So if Damon's gonna beat like world's strongest man, that's pretty cool. So,
Yeah,
So-
put him up against other world's strongest men for reference. Yeah.
yeah,
Which page has the guards that are of create?
yeah. Let me see. I'm gonna quickly find that out. It's page.
It's when they come back with the
Page
girl with the
21.
arm.
Page 21.
21.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She comes back and points at like they're the butcher and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Okay, I got it.
Mm-hmm.
Never Beer Brian is here. Oh,
I don't believe that. I don't believe that Brian would never beer.
Yeah.
All right, hold up.
hey, Scabby, you've got to do a voiceover of just the panel of Damon saying "Go fuck yourself" and then post that as like a 3-second clip. That'll go viral.
Have it pan
Alrighty.
over. Like that's one thing. Like the I should probably take the time to learn, but like the whole motion comic thing that is out there on the YouTubes.
Man, I so want to get into that.
No, my art partner Barry, he says we should do that with some of our comics, and I'm just like, oh, God, one more thing to learn. I just want to keep writing stories, man.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
had
same.
somebody who was animating somewhat, just like doing pan and zooms and stuff.
Yeah,
over
pan and
voices
zoom. Yeah,
and
that's
stuff.
all you need.
And he was doing it for me, and then he just kind of like disappeared. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, I guess if I ever want to do it, I have to do it myself now.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
All right, so, hold up.
it would be a fun thing to do as an adjacent to the Comics Creators Club.
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, so let's see.
We're still trying to spot
Tim Mark?
YouTubers or something.
Is that Tim Mark and Doug Ernst?
So yeah, that's supposed to be Tim Matt Walden,
okay.
obviously on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
far right.
Oh.
And
That's right. That's right.
I gave him armor in coercion with their characters, so Tim actually has like Common America colors. Whilst,
Oh, I kind of see it. Yeah.
yeah. Whilst Matt, he has a
Just like Punchline.
just like Punchline, right?
That's pretty neat. I don't think I would have picked up on that, but that's cool.
Yeah. That's to see you have a little exclusive then.
That's cool. That's cool.
I want a manhunt. That traitor dies today. And I want to. I want to hear Tim say that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We have to have Tim say the line about that traitor dies this day.
It'll come out way too nice if
Yeah.
he says it though. That's the problem. It won't come out with the feeling it needs to.
That
That's why I
traitor
wanna hear
dies
it.
today.
That's why I want to hear it.
No. Because
Actually-
I had to have
Well,
them in the
that's not
second
Weldon,
group
yeah.
because I couldn't have them being murdered. You see. So it's the-
Yeah, I mean you could have, but
Well,
Some people pay money for that on these indie comics. You get
Tim
decapitated or
Mark.
whatever.
okay. Next issue, guys.
It's better to hear Tim say, "What in Lugia's beard?"
oh yeah, that'd be funnier. In a shocked, I think he could pull that one off.
Okay. Where's Tim? Tim, get in here. We need you to voice act your line.
I felt so creepy Googling him. I was like, okay, so let's see. Okay, facial features. Let's go.
Oh, that's always the weirdest thing. So I have like IRL friends who show up in my comics and stuff, and I'm like going onto their Facebook or maybe like pictures I might have from back when we were hanging out. I'm just like looking. I was like, this is kind of weird, but I have to do it.
Yeah. So let's see.
That's fun.
But yeah, I think that's it for me. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Awesome.
There you go. That's fun.
All right. So
Okay.
Shall we switch
Change
to
gears? We're
switch
gonna
to
talk-
Kyrie?
All right.
Should I do the
Switching
elevator
gears.
pitch?
So yeah. Start us off there, Shabby. Start us off with the
Okay.
pitch.
Also, is this the first time a artist is pitching what the writer wrote?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I'm gonna try to be eloquent. We'll see how well it goes, okay? You've heard of Kiri, Volumes 1 and 2. Now, get ready for even more stories from that world. Wild Tales 2, come in hot. Read a couple of exhilarating stories, not connected to each other, with a dynamic art and fast pacing. You'll never see what's waiting in for you inside.
Ooh, I have goosebumps.
Holy
I like
cow!
it.
That's good. That's good. I like that because it's selling everybody in the anthology there.
All right, Shabby's gonna do he's gonna pitch all comics from now on that we do on this show.
It's gonna come in like hello.
Yeah. that was so
Yeah.
tasty.
That was very good. I appreciate that a lot.
Hell yeah, dude.
Shabby, have you ever heard of Dante Axe Productions? He does League of Legends videos.
I don't know. I don't think I do.
All right, you sound just like him, so it's a compliment. Very sexy voice.
Oh man, okay. I'm gonna steal his career.
So I want to start about how I got involved in this book because it's a good story. So Matt had this brilliant idea. I'm going to take these two characters that are relatively obscure, minus a movie starring Michael Caine and Sean Connery, which I believe probably Matt is the only person on the panel who might have watched it. Did you watch the Man Who Would Be King movie? No.
Well, I've
So
seen Man Who
it's
Would Be King. Yeah.
Okay. So there's only like two people on this panel who've watched it, so it's relatively obscure for this. And he said, I want to combine them with Holmes and Watson. And I was on Twitter, and he was like saying, how do I do it? I said, bro, let me pitch you this. I got an idea. And that started the exchange, which has now been starting my creative relationship with Matt C. That's going pretty good here. I pitched one script that was a lot more like the Guy Ritchie Sherlock Holmes, which was not the sort of vibe Matt was going for. Then I tuned it in to more like this sort of Sherlock Holmes. Then he said, well, this is the story I was going with, and I kind of did an interpretation of his story, and this script was an amalgamation of the second and third scripts that were written. And Matt punched up the dialogue. I made the story structure, the framing, the basics of the plot, more or less. And this was an important story for me to write because this involves three characters who are all Freemasons. And the fact that the two main characters, Danny and Peachy, that you're going to be introduced to in this book, being Freemasons, was central to their plot in the original Rudyard Kipling short story and the movie starring Michael Caine and Sean Connery.
All right.
I also,
And we're getting even more cryptic occult references in the world of Kyrie.
There are some more Masonic references, and it's difficult because I had to walk a tightrope line because there are things that I can refer to in allegory, metaphor, and symbolism that are fine. And there are things that the movie, which I don't believe any of the actual people who wrote the script for the movie were Freemasons to do, which were also fine. And Kipling, who wrote the original text, he was a Freemason, and everything he wrote is stuff that is not accurate in fact, but it's accurate in tone. So that was sort of the line I had to write when I was splicing that sort of DNA in here. Also, I wrote an extremely dense 12-page script, and this is actually half of what I came up with for the 12-page script, and thus the cliffhanger we get to at the end.
All right.
One thing I just want to praise you for is the recognition that Dr. Watson is actually really cool and he's not a dummy. That's something. Yeah. So that's it. Like, good point A. And then just actually having Watson narrate the story to Holmes, which is a inversion of their normal back and forth.
There is actually one Holmes story that was done in the proper Conan Doyle canon. I forgot the specific Holmes story that was, but it was referenced in a Monogatari manga and a Monogatari anime that I saw it in. So that was the idea that I immediately came up with, how you framed everything together.
Well, before we jump too much into the discussion, we got to do the voice acting bit first, and someone gets to voice Sherlock Holmes. So I'll let you guys fight over that.
I nominate Marm to voice Sherlock Holmes.
Okay, I've got to increase my screen size here. I can do that, though.
Okay, so who wants to do Watson? That's the question.
I think Shabby should do Watson.
Oh, I am not English enough for that.
Well, you're not English at all.
I'll give it my best shot.
Okay.
Experience.
And how many pages down are we going to get into?
I usually do the first 2 or 3, depends on the book. But
so that means we need to do Danny and Peachy. I'll do Peachy, which is the guy who's played the character that was done in the movie by Michael Caine. And what do you think, Matt? Do you want to do Sean Connery?
I could do Sean. I could do Sean Connery. Yeah. I think I can do Sean Connery. We'll find out if I can pull off a Sean Connery or not.
Oh, come on, it's not that hard.
Well, I know, but it's been I'm out of practice. I'm out of practice, Sean. I'm out of practice. Let's try it. Okay. Sean Connery.
All right, lead us off, Holmes.
All right. As is often John's privilege to record the tales of our cases, I feel it is my duty to record these events. Watson?
It's true.
Grave robbery and jewel theft. John, I didn't know you had it in you.
Well, I nearly didn't. They were devilishly clever. The kind of men who build an empire in war. The kind of men whose empire abandoned and wars end.
And why on earth did they need a medic on their treasure quest?
Why a medic? Where's your sentence, dear boy? The great Shah Durrani died of leprosy. And Lord knows what else was brewing in his tomb.
That's Watson again, right?
Watson's next.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Lords know what else has brewed in his tomb.
Watson's the next. Oh yeah.
Hold on, I'm lost. Because sorry, I have a little lag there. This is all well and good between Watch brothers, but you have yet to introduce yourselves.
Matt?
Okay, easily remedied. This, my good doctor, is Sergeant Peachy Carnahan.
And he is Sergeant Daniel Dravat, the best of the Queen's own royal And this is Sergeant Daniel Dravat, the best of the Queen's own royal loyal light infantry. Brothers of Traveling Lodge 3276, the Ford fit at your service.
One more page?
Yeah, let's do one more page.
And I should be pitching you two brothers up when your worrisome plans fall short?
Indubitably, Dr. Watson. Okay, we happen to have ourselves in possession of an Afghan antique of considerable curiosity. Wanted to offer run-dum Bengali lancer named Lieutenant Singh.
Queen's own blackjack.
Round of applause. Well done.
That's a great, Sean.
I love Reese's Sean Connery. That was you were getting into it there.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you.
That was very good. That was very good. And we definitely had to punch up the dialogue, and Matt was the one who really punched up the dialogue because, again, you got to get the right time period right in the dialogue. You got to get the right flow of phrase in the dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're lucky we had a movie to adapt some of it from, some of the tone.
Speaking of flow, you gotta love. It's interesting when you write comic book dialogue because like it's often in your head, but when you have to say it out loud, royal loyal is an interesting.
And I actually think that was a way they said that line in the movie.
Oh, is it? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well,
gotta
part of it
rewatch
is you're
the movie.
missing the spacing there because the way you should say it is the best of the Queen's own loyal light infantry because there's like a period there that actually cuts off or whatever.
Yeah. And Jason White's art is really good for this kind of a story.
Okay, we have a
The art was
request
great,
from the chat.
especially-
Can you say the best laid plans of mice and men often go awry as Connery? Let's try it here. The best laid plans of mice and men often go awry. How's that? There you
That's pretty good.
Better
Pretty good. I like it.
All right, let's go down the panel and talk about what we liked from this tree.
go. Let's go from the bottom up. Let's start with you, Twitless.
Oh, I'm on the spot. Okay. I am a sucker for Sherlock Holmes stories, and I am also a sucker for cliffhangers. This story I both. It ends on a cliffhanger, so ladies and gentlemen, make sure you pick up not only this story but the follow-up to it, because it's quite the cliffhanger. I also like the art. It fits the there are certain Sherlock Holmes stories that I don't know, the artwork doesn't quite fit if you try to make it look too actiony. The artwork and coloring here, I think, are a very natural fit. So it's Jesse White drawn by, and I'm assuming Matt colored it, right?
Yes, he did. I believe so.
Matt actually colored everything in Wild Tales.
Gotcha. Yep. So you get this sort of Euro scene kind of artwork, and Matt's coloring meshes with that very, very well. And so even though this is written by American, it still has, I think, a British flavor to it. So I think that's definitely what you're trying to capture when you're trying to capture the voice of this type of story. So kudos to that.
Yeah. Thank you. That's all good stuff. And as a tease for the next chapter of this story, it also ends in a cliffhanger.
Oh, gosh.
Well, those 12
Nothing but
pages, they had to go
cliffhangers.
somewhere.
Yeah.
So, metal.
Okay, so one of the things I liked talking about the art too is this is a story that is like kind of contingent on the lines in it, right? It is a traditional like spoken narrative where it starts off with him telling a story and then it fades into the storytelling itself. But the thing I liked is that it wasn't too wordy. This very easily could have just been like paragraphs of text taking up the entire panel, and it still really lets the art do most of the work, despite how much the dialogue is necessary for the story to flow.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Taylor, I did just cliffhanger a cliffhanger. and Metal, to your point, I would say my personal writing philosophy is when I write something, I think, okay, am I starting to turn into Brian Michael Bendis? Can I reduce the number of words in what I've written? So I appreciate that you appreciate where I'm coming from.
Well, and I think part of it is it's the narrative is built on other people's narratives. And so I think you did a really good balance of having the characters tell the stories while also showing them in the middle of things. It wasn't just like you're watching them sit around, drinking coffee for like, 12 pages.
Good point. Yeah.
You're able to have this conversation happen in the middle of the lives that they're living. And I think that's an important way of marrying that dialogue with the action. I mean, like, you want to see an example of the opposite of that, speaking of Bendis, go read the first volume of Powers. All of the talking happens at the wrong places and the wrong times. So you guys did it the right way.
So what this actually really reminds me of, I used to read a lot of Boys Life magazine because I used to be in the Scouts and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So there was a lot of cartoony stuff, but in the middle of the magazine, you'd get like this one really pulpy story. And a lot of times it was something that was famous, like a Sherlock Holmes story or whatever. So this really had that feeling of like a random Boys Life magazine.
Oh, God.
And I think it was
That's,
sold really
that's
well.
true. That's true. I agree.
I didn't
I
think
agree.
about that. I remember those kind of things too when I was in Scouts. Oh, wow.
Metal nailed it, and those stories were cool. So I completely agree with that.
What-
It
was
captures that aesthetic.
Was I next? Because my thought almost directly tied into that on what I liked about
Well,
which one.
technically, Shabby's next.
All right,
Hmm.
I can
If
save
you
it.
want to go, you can go. It's fine.
I can save it. That way we don't
Okay.
get lost.
Right?
Nah, go ahead. I'll remember. There's only 3 of us left.
All right.
Go ahead.
I'll go. Okay. So tying into like this boy's life angle, there's something about the overall tone of this story that really works. So if I have this right, Larry, so Matt C pitched the basic idea, you raised your hand and volunteered, you wrote the script, and then Matt C polished up the dialogue at the end, right?
Yeah.
Is that looking like the balance?
Yeah.
Okay. So that means that what I like about what you've done is you're contributing to Matt C's universe.
Yeah.
And Matt C has a voice as a writer, which I call, he's exactly the right kind of nerd. He's the nerd who knows how to make his nerdiness make the world exciting and interesting rather than overbearing. So this story has that. You know, we've got like the Persian Empire and British involvement in Iran and the Muslim Empire, right? So just little bits of cool, nerdy, colorful history, but also a very basic adventure story. The other kind of like element or vibe that I was so the rest of Kyrie is set in the 1st century. This is set in the 19th century. So I actually kind of liked how this is we're getting a view of British imperialism without a lecture on the evils of British imperialism. It's just this is a setting for an adventure story. So the connection I had with the boy's life pulpy adventure story is British people in India or British people in Iran. It's kind of a way for a boy of that being your viewpoint character into this strange and magical world with its own history. And I think it's actually a really important kind of story to tell because you are looking at other cultures through this lens of romance where you're saying these people have their own history, they have their own culture and language and people, and there's adventure out there. So I really appreciate that. I don't even know what I'd call it. It's almost more like it's almost like more like a subtext of let's go have an adventure rather than making any kind of like textual statement in the story on how we're supposed to think about multiculturalism or the history of Britain. Yeah.
Now, this is taking place in Kandahar in Afghanistan.
Okay.
So this was during the Anglo-Afghan War where British India expanded into Afghanistan, and the antagonists are a group of Sikhs. Now, the founder of the Afghan Empire spent some time in the Sikh Empire and was given a piece of something significant to them, which becomes one of the MacGuffin plot devices in the story. So it's also not just the layer of British imperialism, it's about how different imperial cultures all interact with each other.
Yeah.
The graveyard of empires, my friends.
Yes. And there's a character who didn't make it into this cut of the story who I brought into the original draft of the script because they just had this character in the movie and it was really cool as an idea to me. So there's also going to be a Gurkha when we get to a later part of the story. So there's going to be that other element of South Asia all interwoven in there.
Yeah, very cool. Shabby, what are your thoughts?
There we go. You know what? I'll start with the art because I'm the art guy. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was competent in kind of navigating your eye enough, and especially there are a couple panels that the characters kind of stand out from them. Especially when he holds the MacGuffin, kind of points it out. That one was really cool to me. So big props for that. The coloring also very good. So Matt, easy, good one on that boy. Uh, what I really liked is story-wise, this was not only a great opening for the story itself, but because this is a couple of stories, so I thought it was really a good opener for the whole book itself. So it really introduced you, and then you had this great sort of this diving board to go off of into the next ones. Whilst I think if you switch them up, it wouldn't go as well. So big props for that. And when it comes to the setting and the characters, I just not only this time period, but also the setting, etc. Right? So I really enjoyed going in that, and you do kind of feel this warm, feeling when you read it just from looking at the pages. So that was really cool for me, I think.
Now, something about the art, when we originally talked about character design, I did pitch a different look for Sherlock Holmes. That's actually one of the more traditional Sherlock Holmes actors from the 20s and 30s, whose name is completely escaping me.
Basil Rathbone?
It's kind of similar to Basil Rathbone. I actually suggested Patrick McGowan to be somebody go of the same generation of actors as Connery and Michael Caine. Because I'm also a huge fan of The Prisoner.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I love The Prisoner, and he'd be a good fit. So you pitched that, but you ended up going with one of the other older Sherlock actors. Okay.
And Jesse and Matt and I were all of the same opinion that we had to do characters for the ones played by Connery and Michael Caine that were modeled off of those two actors, because you just had to. They were the only people who ever brought those characters into a live action setting before.
So, and this is actually something that I wanted to get into. Not that you have to spoil the whole picture, but the man who would be king. What's the elevator pitch for that story?
So, the man who would be king is about two British soldiers who go off to find fame and fortune and become kings in a region of Afghanistan. And in the process, they discover a secret legacy of Alexander the Great, and they become as if gods to these primitive people. But, when you make yourself a god, you generally tend to get punished, because that's what the ancient Greeks called hubris.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. That's a really that's an interesting parallel structure to the whole of the 3rd century Curie story. That's interesting.
Yeah.
2nd century Curie story.
I highly recommend the movie.
Yeah.
I highly recommend the movie, and there's an entire sequence in the opening of the movie when Matt and I first started talking about it, and I had to explain to him how there are ways Freemasons talk to each other that are not ritual in public, and I had to show him a whole train sequence in the initial part of the movie where Danny and Peachy and Rudyard Kipling, the character of Rudyard Kipling, is in there as written by Rudyard Kipling, how they all come to know each other as Masons in public. They then begin to start drinking, and then the two men tell their scheme to Rudyard Kipling before they go off to Afghanistan to seek fame and fortune.
But he used a similar device in I can't remember it. There's a nautical story that he wrote. I'll think about it later. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But okay, so I guess it's my turn to talk about what I liked about it. Everything everyone else said is great. I loved how the world of Holmes and the characters in Afghanistan just seemed to mesh perfectly. When Matt told me what he was wanting to do with it, because he asked me if I'd seen the picture, and I was like, I haven't, but I'm interested in seeing it. And he's just like, well, this is what I'm going to do. It's going to be great. And I'm like, yeah, it sounds like it'll be great. And but I didn't know, and I know Kipling's work, some of his other work, so it seemed like it would be something that you could be pulled off, and I think you guys did a great job of it. My only complaint is that it was only 12 pages. I really was just getting into the story the minute it goes into the cliffhanger.
And it was hard writing 12 pages.
And it's not like it's a monthly book where I can go down next month and get the second chapter, so.
Now, what I'm going to tell you about the original script I wrote, that was more Guy Ritchie. In that original script, Irene Adler was featured as a character, and Hercule Poirot was featured as somebody that Holmes did not like, but who later became somebody to assist in the misadventures that occurred.
That's a cool idea.
That is an interesting idea.
He referred to Hercule Poirot in that script as the Belgian.
Yeah.
Because that just seemed like a way he would refer to him.
Yeah. Well, and Poirot would have been fairly young at that time too. So. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So, for the record, it's available for rent on YouTube, in case you're curious out there in the world. So,
I have my ways.
I have a question. So,
yeah,
you work with someone who you're basically, borrowing toys from someone's toolbox, right? Whilst it's supposed to be historically accurate, right? So
sort
how
of.
much research whilst talking to Matt you'd have to go back and forth? Because I can imagine it would take quite a long time to, figure it out.
So I researched the Shah Durrani. I researched some of his history. That's how we came up with the plot device that's in the story. I'm not going to spoil that plot device because it's in the story. I researched a little bit about the cultural interaction between the Afghan Empire and the Sikhs. And I rewatched the movie just to make sure I had the right tone of the characters in my head. And I knew that Watson was in the war, but I didn't remember if Conan Doyle went into any particular detail about it. So other than his being a medic, there wasn't anything I really needed to get into too much detail on. We did look for research for the art, if I remember, for the actual uniforms.
So for 12 pages, that's a fair bit of research then. That's cool. Just shows you working hard.
So, so you've got a second 12 pages that it's not ready to go. You guys are looking at is that going to be 2023 campaign for the next Wild Tales books? I can't remember.
Yes, because I know there's the new Kyrie that's currently being worked on.
Yeah.
Then there's Matt and my next project, which will be after that one, which we're currently working on the artist, and we're currently working on the second draft of the script. And Matt's kind of taken me into a different comfort zone with my script, and I'm kind of doing something a little bit different than how I wrote that one. And then I think it's 2023 at some point in time. That's when we go back to Wild Tales.
Right. And so then you've got in the Wild Tales 3, you're going to have the next installment. Is that and there's a third installment theoretically for 4?
Yeah. So there's a second half of the Kandahar Crisis incident. There's also a London Tower affair, which I wrote a script for. Which is the framing device at the beginning of this story is to lead into the London Tower affair.
Okay.
Was that when 2 of the crown princes died under mysterious circumstances or something?
No. It's going to be about a diamond theft at the Crown, because there was a diamond that's in the British Crown Jewels that came from India that Queen Victoria accepted under protest because of a lot of reasons. One of those being a lot of people were killed and the diamond came in. British media didn't like it. Also, the diamond was a lot smaller than it was purported to be. So we're going with diamond thefts as a recurring motif.
Nice.
Yeah, there were actually 2 different sets of royal princes that were killed or disappeared in the tower, but that was centuries before.
Yes, and the diamond,
an English pair, and then there was a Welsh pair as well. But those were different time periods.
And the diamond in the tower that's going to be referenced in the London Tower story, there was a rumor at the time that they actually submitted a lesser diamond to the British as an instance.
I want to take the time to just go. I know he's not even here. He said he wanted to listen tomorrow. I was hoping he'd be in the chat. But my God, look at the coloring on the detail that he puts into this stuff. Matt is just his coloring and stuff. His skills are next level.
And really, his coloring on all of these stories is really the glue that holds everything together. You believe it's all part of one shared world because of the color.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, and one of the things too is I think it's in here. I think it's this book here. Oh yeah, he's got this one story that's set in India, and like the skies are all orange or yellow.
Yeah.
Except for one page. But he was talking to me about that. It's like, I'm trying something different. I think it's going to look more, going to look less Western if we do it this way. And I was just like, okay, well, you're the color guy. It's not even my book. But,
yeah.
But it was really, man, he just did crazy stuff with it. But even though with these intentionally different uses of color, they still tie it all together. I don't know, man.
And I also pitched to Matt another story to be used in one of the future Wild Tales books involving Niall of the Nine Hostages in Ireland.
Yeah. Yep. So, very, very, that's fun stuff.
Teasers of things to come, yeah.
Yep. We got more stuff in the pipeline. And then I'll build up enough audience that I can make my own pipeline and start making even more stuff. It's hard to break in when you're a writer. It's really hard.
Definitely. So, but yeah. Any other? Do you have any other words to say or ideas or suggestions for Larry? Looking forward to his future stories.
So I'd like to ask if Larry has any questions for the panel. Same thing that we asked Shabby earlier.
I mean, you guys all went into a lot of good detail, and I'm just very glad I've been able to share my philosophy for writing comic books is, am I doing what Brian Michael Bendis would do? Can I say it with 25 to 50% less words?
Yeah.
You could do not a bad philosophy.
And my other philosophy, and an acquaintance of mine who is a CEO of a big production company who at one point in time was an editor at Valiant, said when I told him I was going to be writing a comic book, he said, always leave space for the artist to have fun. Because if you don't leave space for the artist to have fun, you're not going to produce something good.
Yeah. It's very true. Very true. So, well, guys, I don't know if we have anything else. I think this is the show.
We were only doing the one Kyrie story, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because it was Larry's that we were interested in having on.
Now, at another time, we could go into more detail talking about Freemasonry and comics and how, even if you're not a Freemason, you can authentically write about Freemasonry.
Are you a Freemason?
I am.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He mentioned it earlier. You're not paying attention, Marm.
No, I felt like, wow, he's really passionate about Freemasonry, right? But I didn't pick up actually is one, yeah.
So I have been a Freemason in Florida for 20 years this November. And I was active in the Order of Demolay in Florida since I was 14. So I've been involved in some capacity as an active participant within the Masonic world for like 30 years.
Okay. Are you the guy who puts all of the secret messages in the Simpsons cartoon?
No, he puts them in the Disney cartoons. Get it right.
Well, the funny thing is, Walt Disney was also a Freemason. And Walt Disney was a senior DMLA, and he did a special set of comics for DMLA involving the Disney characters in a DMLA chapter that were published in DMLA newsletters back in like the 30s and 40s.
So, for those of us who have no idea what you're talking about, what is DMLA, or can you tell us?
I can tell you all about that. So DMLA is an organization for young men between the ages of 12 and 21. It used to be a different age bracket than that, but it's hard to recruit people, so standards change. It's founded on basic principles of filial love, reverence for sacred things, courtesy, comradeship, fidelity, cleanness, and patriotism, valuing a religious life, and valuing the public schools, and love of parents.
See, I firmly disagree that anyone should value the public schools.
Notable senior DMLAs are people like John Wayne and Walt Disney, who I mentioned. Famous ones that some people in this panel might not consider notable are Bill Clinton. And it was an organization founded by Francis Land, who is a senior member of the Scottish Rite in Kansas City, Missouri, who was good friends with Harry S. Truman at the time, and Harry Truman was an early supporter of the organization. Freemasonry is the world's oldest fraternity. What we know of today as Freemasonry is based on the organization of Freemasonry in the early 18th century in London, though there were Masonic organizations going back into the 16th century that are more or less in the form we know today. And it goes back into Guild Masonry, which was called Freemasonry because it was a specific type of masonry that goes back into the 9th century. And Freemasons were Masons who did specific artistic Masonic work, did like ornate work. And they had to have additional knowledge and training, and they were highly sought out for their skills. And Freemasonry takes those original lessons of Guild Masons, and as happened with a lot of craft guilds in the 16th, 17th, and 18th century, they became moral civic institutions. Primarily because they were bringing in a lot of secular and noble and business people in to get money, because the old guilds took care of their sickened members, their widows and orphans. The Freemasonry played a very strong role in the founding of the American Republic. Not as many presidents as you would think are Freemasons. There are some presidents who never completed their Masonic journey, like Lyndon Johnson. The last active Masonic president was Gerald Ford. Notable for being Grand Masters of Freemasonry, who are Freemasons who ran the craft for an entire state. You have presidents such as Harry S. Truman and Andrew Jackson, who are Grand Masters of the Grand Lodge of Missouri and Tennessee, respectively. There was another Grand Master whose name is completely blanking in my head right now. Also, Howard Taft was a Freemason. Teddy Roosevelt was a Freemason. Franklin Roosevelt was a Freemason, and Teddy Roosevelt commented on the pride he felt that the master of his lodge in New York when he was president was his personal gardener. Now, Freemasonry gets into the occult because it was tied to the 17th and 18th century Rosicrucianism at some degree. It's one of those areas where history is kind of vague and people can argue both sides of the story. Later, during the occult renaissance in the late 19th and early 20th century, a lot of the foundational occultists of that period were also Freemasons. Aleister Crowley was a member of clandestine Masonic bodies, but some of the clandestine Masonic bodies he was a member of later became regular Masonic bodies. All
right, so I hate to be that guy, but your 30 seconds are up. No more Masonic talk.
I was waiting for a break in the conversation to mention that my great uncle Patrick Crosley used to play poker with Harry Truman before he was, in national office. So
yeah,
they're in Missouri. So there you go. He wasn't a Mason. He was just a dude.
So,
who happened to know Harry Truman.
To our panel, this has been fantastic, and these are both great comics, and anyone who's in our audience should definitely read them. Seven says he thinks it was 33 seconds.
He might be right. I wasn't checking the clock.
Maybe it was 77. You got to pick a Masonic number. I don't know.
33 is actually a Masonic reference. That was the joke he was making.
There we go. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so, all right. So, alrighty. So, like I said, I love Comics Creators Club, and so let's keep this awesome passion rolling. I believe for next time we're gonna pair up Demon Hunter Raven by Nicholas Mueller and Adventures of Omega Girl, which is my superhero book. So I'm looking forward to seeing what everyone has to say about those two.
Nice.
So keep your eyes peeled for this channel because we're gonna get into some superhero action because we haven't seen as much of that on CCC yet. Well,
What are you talking about? We had superheroes the first time we did it.
I meant like direct, like non-comedy.
Well, I guess that's fair.
Okay, that's what I meant. I'm not throwing more shade at Forces of Good and Evil, which, by the way, we are going to eventually do a super schooled Forces of Good and Evil pairing, just because the two of them are basically the same comic, except mine is better.
That's true.
I'm just messing with you.
Ours has more soul.
There we go. All right.
And more
heart.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I was just drawing some fill-in pages today because I got to fix a horrible mistake we made in 2006.
Yeah, it's only been 15 years.
Yeah.
Better late.
You
than
caught
never.
it now, yeah.
Well, I'd caught it before, but I just didn't have the will to do anything about it. But since we're sort of kind of uploading it to Webtoon, I feel like we got to fix some of those errors.
I've seen lots of old web comics who they upgrade the art.
This is
like a
I'm not
Patreon
upgrading
thing
the art. We had one page that was like the exposition page for this mystery story, and it was one page of just text. And I'm turning it into like I think 3 pages. So
you have been kind of upgrading the art though. You're going back and coloring a lot of
that's true.
pages that were just outlines before.
Yeah, and adding backgrounds. I'm doing a lot of background work on it, but I'm not like redrawing the whole thing.
Okay, so like great show. Does anyone else have any new things to pitch in addition to these great comics that we see here today?
Nothing I haven't pitched before, but page 61 of my comic went live last Sunday, so I'm just clipping along.
Oh, there we go.
Keep tuning in.
Yeah, I need to catch up on that one.
When is when's Vestry number 4 and when's Wild Tales of Curie number 3 coming out? Do we have any hard dates on those?
Vestry number 4 is out right now.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, and actually, I believe the link to the Indiegogo is in the description.
I'll pull it up. Let me pull it up real fast if I can.
And also, Wild Tales of Curie 1 and 2 are for sale on mattcrotts.com, I believe. But I think that link's in the description as well.
Yeah, and if you look at the last page on the digital copy, if you could pull that up, that is the Matt and I are working on. There's like a teaser image there at the. It's like the last page on the PDF, or it's like I believe the rear of the book. Yeah, that one, the one with the girl with the sniper rifle.
Because we did already talk about the Wild Tales of Curie schedule and stuff, but I think that was when Twitless was bouncing in and out.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, we're looking at 2023 for issue 3.
Solid State, which is the book we have teased in the back there. We are getting an actual mangaka from Japan. We're negotiating, and we are trying to get a authentic manga experience at a good price point. We can cover a decent number of pages, but we're going to be crowdfunding to get a really authentic manga number of pages done to truly exploit the fact that we're getting a manga artist through the drawing.
So you're looking for like a 200-page volume.
It's not going to be quite that manga, experience, but it's going to be more than you're typically going to get in some of the indie crowdfunded comics. It's going to be a lot more pages.
Because usually when they pump out volumes for manga, it's like somewhere between 5 to 10 chapters that had run within the last few months of the magazine. Each chapter is printed in.
Yeah. The artist told us how many pages she could do, and we figured out a budget for how many we knew we could afford to do it. I said to Matt, look, win, lose, or draw, we produce the number of pages we have money for, but if we could get this many more pages out of this artist, we need to find a way to make that money happen. And he agreed.
Start selling that plasma.
I got the Solid State and teaser pulled up, and then I am pulling up Vestry number 4. So coming soon. It looks good.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. And
No, I love seeing the progress on Vestry. Because like Shabby and I have been interacting since the old like Cult of Raven chat days, and I remember him putting like all of like the pre-drafts and asking for like critiques and stuff in the Twitter chat, and it's really nice to see how like far along the story's been coming.
Was I invited to the Cult of Raven? Because I have dim memories of that showing up in like comics Twitter. I remember you guys like changed your profile pictures or something.
Well, we were everywhere.
That's right, and then you were fighting the Pope Starfire people. That's it.
Yeah, the Church of Starfire. There's a whole little like mock war going on there.
Okay, I didn't know if that was a real war because Pope Starfire can be kind of when we're like going, are we joking or are we not joking? What's going on?
No. Well, at least from our perspective, it was all just fun and games. I mean, most of the people in the cult were like friends with Pope Fire too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I got Vestry 4.
Oh, there we goes. There we now.
Are. So you guys, 9 days, 43 backers, and almost $1,000. Awesome.
And guys out there in the world, I know we don't come here to sell things on this show, but you should go buy this. It's super affordable, and goodness sakes, look at the quality.
Do you have a deal to buy 1 through 4 all in one shot?
Yes. So you can get like, we call it a ketchup tier, so you can get 1 through 4.
In digital or physical, right?
Both digital, both physical. Yeah,
and this is the one I picked up. You can get just 3 and 4 if you missed the summer campaign for 3, like me.
Yeah, we got a lot of people telling us that they missed out on that one. So yeah, we were like, hey, we are our customers. We love you guys. So there we go.
Awesome. And there's a little preview of what's going on next issue.
Yeah, there's a couple of pages we can scroll down even, I think.
Yep.
There's a couple more. Obviously there are bubbles in there. Just didn't want to spoil anything.
Oh, definitely. But you can still get an idea of kind of what's going on through just the images alone.
Yeah.
I don't care
to get the ketchup tier to even pick up ones I already have again.
No.
Yeah.
you lovely you.
So, yep, I'm pretty stoked. So
I'm
let's go
intrigued
ahead.
by the laser gun.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't
You
think
have
I
to have
noticed
a
that.
magic blunderbuss.
It's a magic blunderbuss. That's amazing.
That was
I had not
integral.
noticed that before. I just went ahead and was like, which? Okay, I want to give them money. Which is the one?
All right.
It's a magic blunderbuss right above a very magical bus.
Blunderbust.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a busty book.
That's a Brian Ball joke right there.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
That's it. We're going to call it the show. Tune in next week, where we are going to be having specs, talking about Legacy, The View, and killing characters in comics, with a panel made up of who knows who. I don't even know.
I'll be there.
Yeah. Probably Twitless, if he can, fight off all the robots again.
Yeah.
This last time, you're better. I don't know what changed, but this time, I think the connection's good.
I don't know. I'll work on it. I'll see what I can
who
do.
knows? Hey, have you got a bonsai buddy taking up all of your memory space?
Yeah, I know.
or
Yeah.
what?
Oh, God. Here. Talk about some reference.
There you go. It's 2001, people. That's what
Yeah.
you have. Let's go.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to go back to like using antennas for things. We just have to put a large metal pole out of his like internet connection.
Yeah.
Just right in the modem. Just
That's amazing. You take the foil and you actually you bend it into a
You
U.
laugh.
Yeah.
I actually, when I'm at home, I have fiber optic. I have like gigabit internet. While I'm out here in this exile, I'm like, I'm on an antenna.
Well, there you have it. So, I think. Okay. Anyway, we're gonna call it. We're gonna wrap it. We're gonna call it. Hey, and apparently, my sign off line. I think I may have stolen. So we're gonna change it to see you guys next week, and I'll figure something new out to say. So
Wait,
buy.
keep reading. Where's keep reading comics?
Apparently, Comic Tropes has been doing that for years, and
I don't care.
ever watch their stuff. But
I mean, keep reading comics isn't something you can really have with intellectual property.
Yeah,
but
I know.
what's
But
the new
I'm
line?
just
What's
like,
the
I
new
thought
line,
that was
though?
my thing, and he did a video last week. Okay, fine, we'll talk about this now before I kill the show. But I watched a video the other day that he was doing a breakdown of Doomsday Clock, and I saw it, and I'm idly curious. I don't feel like giving Jeff Johns any money, but I was curious about somebody else's take on it, and I was then he had that, and I was like, wait, that's my line, and I was like, wait, is it? I don't even know, but I'll go back to my old blog days, and happy reading, and go with that one. So
Excelsior!
Excelsior.
Stanley's dead. He can't have it anymore.
Well, that's the motto of New York State before that.
Okay.
Interesting note, another way of saying that in Latin is plus ultra. They actually both mean the same thing.
Huh.
Yep. Lie.